Oh, I hope you can hear me. Um, Hi, my name's Lily. I started teaching in Korea about a year ago now. Um, so I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in America, and now I live in Songnam-si, South Korea, and that's a little bit south of Gangnam. So I'm still in like the Techno Valley area. It's very urban, but not as busy and hustle and bustle as Seoul, which I really like because I'm not from a big city. Um, I originally decided I wanted to go teach abroad, but I didn't know where, so I got my TEFL certificate for um, about 120 hours. And then through that program that I got the certificate, they recommended Explore Asia. And I called them before signing up because I wanted to know kind of like what their program was and what services that they might offer. So they helped me out a lot, and I felt good hearing about how they don't partner with any schools that have like a lot of issues or and then they also just told me kind of like what the work environment would be like, what they would offer, and it was really, really nice to hear. So I decided to go with them, and I was partnered up with Amy, and she helped me find a school. My biggest thing was I chose Hagwons number one because, and Hagwons are a private academy versus a public school because number one, they're is more flexibility with location. And my biggest thing is I didn't really want to be down south. I wanted to be up north where there's snow, and I wanted to be more near like either Gangneung or Incheon, Daejeon. I didn't want to be like near Busan or anything because I don't deal well with the heat. And so she said, "Oh, there's a good chance that you can end up in those areas." And she found a couple schools for me. I got paired up with a recruiting agency here as well, and Explore Asia helped me a lot with like the application because that was my biggest thing is why I went through a recruiter is because I had no idea how to apply. And so yeah, so I decided I would go teach abroad because I worked in healthcare at a hospital during Corona before this, and it was like sometimes 16-hour days of working, and it's working in healthcare is a very rewarding career, and you're always on your feet, you're always like doing things, and after that, it's like even though it was hard, I didn't want to go back to a desk job. And in order to also go forward in healthcare for me, I would have to go to more school because I didn't have a nursing degree. I just had a biology degree. So I said, okay, what can I do before I go back to school? I don't really want to like go back to school, like the economy and everything. And so I decided, oh, I heard from my high school teacher that he taught in Japan. I wonder if there's like anywhere else that you can teach. And eventually I chose Korea. So then I got paired up. I had a really good interview with the school I'm currently at. And I've been there for a year now, and I just renewed my contract. And I really love it. I really love teaching. Um, I really love the city I'm in. I love the people I work with. I love the kids. They're so much fun. Like, it's just amazing. I really, really enjoy it. Um, so I arrived during like the peak week of COVID. So I did have to quarantine. They still required a vaccine passport to enter any restaurants. And so that was kind of stressful. Like I had my vaccines, but I had to go into the city hall and get it all taken care of. And in Seoul, they speak a lot of English, but like even where I live, just a little bit outside of Seoul, there's a lot more Korean and a lot less English being spoken. And so that was a little bit of not too much of a shock, but it was a little bit of a shock. And thankfully I did study a lot of Korean before coming here. And I think that made my experience and like my transition into society here a lot smoother. And it also makes like people trust you more, like, oh, she's trying at least to learn the language. So it also like improved my relationships with my Korean coworkers, and even just going into a bakery and ordering bread in Korean, they're like, whoa, your Korean's so good. And it's like, no, I just said bread, please. But it really does help. So if you are coming here, I would recommend like just trying to learn the basics, and like you'll learn it as you live here. Um, so I got trained after quarantine, but because of Corona, we actually didn't get that much training because the parents didn't want extra teachers in the classrooms. So I kind of was just like thrown in there, and that was a big struggle for me because, like, first week I had like 10 6 year olds, and some of them it's like I didn't know how to classroom manage. I was too nice of a teacher, and they started walking all over me and just not listening. And I really had to learn how to be like the fun teacher when they listen, and like the stern teacher. And that's really hard for someone who, like, I'm not a very stern person. So like having to learn that balance and like gain their respect back after not having any respect in the beginning was really hard. Um, it wasn't too much of like anything else that was stressing me. It was just like learning how to manage the kids, but it was I learned eventually. I had a lot of support, thankfully, from my school, my coworkers. So it took about like 6 months though, and it was very stressful to kind of like, okay, so how am I going to teach these kids the ABCs and they're crawling on the floor? And but I figured it out eventually, and now like I have a really good like level of respect where I can just have fun with them, and they know like, okay, if I start crawling on the floor, we're not going to have fun anymore. And that really helped me become like more of an assertive person. I've grown in like so much confidence, especially like seeing, okay, the student didn't know any English and now they're writing full sentences or writing essays, like, and especially we have like these little iPads that they do level testing on to see like their reading level, how much vocabulary they learn. And I had one student go up like so much, like they went from 30 to 390. So that was a really, really, like, even I had a student at the beginning of this year who couldn't spell the, and it's like, now he's like writing full sentences, and it's just really rewarding. And there's nothing as great as seeing a kid grow and seeing even them developing as people, because when I came in during Corona, a lot of them hadn't, Korea was like, you can only have groups of 2 people together. You can't have big groups. So these children were not socialized at all. And they hadn't had the chance to really understand how to interact with other kids, and just to see them kind of like grow as people as well was really, really cool to see, and help them like learn social skills, how to be kind, how to solve their own problems. It's a good job. I really like it. However, like moving to another country where you don't know anyone is really difficult. Within the like in the first 2 months, 3 months, it's all still so exciting, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm teaching, and I'm still figuring this out, and I just came to Korea and I'm exploring, I'm going all around and seeing like Busan and Gangneung and Daejeon and Incheon, and like going around Seoul and seeing like Gyeongbokgung, wearing hanbok, and just trying everything. You have such like, it's just so much excitement. And then after like you hit 3 months, you're like, oh, I'm living here. I have to work. And it's kind of like, I wouldn't say like you get exhaustion, but like if you're working and teaching, especially teaching kindergarten like I do, it takes a lot of energy to teach kindergarten, because when they're that little, you have to be like really fun and energetic. And even if you don't feel like it, you kind of, I mean, You kind of have to be with such little kids who don't understand everything you're saying. You really have to use your body and your like facial expressions and your tone of voice and just be over the top. And then going out on the weekends to restaurants and checking out new areas, going on bus rides across the country, or I would do a lot of hiking. I would hike mountains. I went to Jeju Island and I hiked like 20 kilometers in one day. And I kept doing all this and I really burnt myself out. So I would recommend not doing that. But overall, it was a really great experience, and I've learned a lot from teaching where I teach. And I met once Corona like got better and we could have big group meetings again too. Like Xplore Asia had like this orientation finally, because I was really bummed that we didn't get an orientation with the situation and everything. So it was really nice to meet other people, and I'm still friends with most of the people I met during this orientation. And so that was really fun. We wore hanbok. We went on a tour around the area. We went and got barbecue. And then some of my friends, they did move back to America. And that's kind of the hard thing about teaching here, especially if you want to stay here more long term, is your like international friends, if they aren't like permanently living here, there's a good chance that some people you know and you become friends with might move home. And so I would recommend making Korean friends or friends who are like planning to be here long term as well. And then the other thing too is come here for the right reasons, because like if you like K-dramas and stuff, like there are times where it's like, oh yeah, I can see like it's like living in a K-drama, but most of it is just regular life. And then you have like all of these like great things about Korea, like the convenience stores, the coffee. But that also like the work culture here is a lot different. If you're not used to it wasn't too bad for me having worked 16-hour days coming into the work culture here, but I am at my school for 9 hours, and that is a big transition for a lot of people who might have worked shift work before or worked in an office, and they're more on their feet now. There's a lot more like hands-on, and so I would say that it can be a big struggle. But overall, I've really enjoyed working at my school, and I've actually been promoted this year to be on the management team as like the foreign teacher manager. And not all schools have that, but my school did, and that is a huge transition this year too, is going into management and learning how to, I guess, manage people versus students. But yeah, I think like the best part of teaching in Korea would be just the kids. They really, really, especially if you're a first year teacher, you're probably like the first foreign person they've talked to. You might also be like their first teacher ever. And when you're their first teacher, they have nothing to compare you to, and you're like a saint to them. Like they just love you and they want to like crawl all over you. They'll put rice in your hair. I had my students go like, why is your hair not black? And then they would put rice in it. So yeah, it's a really good experience, and just seeing them grow as people and like learning social skills. And my biggest thing, like my biggest advice for teaching is like treating the students not like they're kids, but like I talk to them sometimes like they're adults, and I treat them with respect, and I say we have rules because of this, and they really love that. It's really a lot more convenient to live in Korea than South Dakota for me too. Convenience stores, we don't have like district, like what is it called, like commercial zoning like we do in the US. So like my last, I've just moved apartments, but my last apartment was right above like a bingsu place, which is a like shaved milk ice cream type of thing. Um, and so I could just go downstairs and get like ice cream if I wanted to, which was really nice. But in America, like a lot of places, they just have like, here's residential and then here's commercial, and you have to drive like 10 minutes to go to the grocery store. Where in Korea, it's all mixed zoning. So it's really walkable. If I need any groceries, there's like convenience stores all around. I have like a co-op, but not like a grocery store nearby. Um, and there's even like singing rooms, there's restaurants, there's like everything. There's a tailor right next to where I live. So I've like, especially since I'm so tall, it's hard for me sometimes to find pants and clothing here. So it is nice to have like a tailor nearby, and it's just literally across the street. And so it's really nice to have like that mixed zoning. I can walk everywhere. I can walk alone at night and not feel like I'm gonna get robbed. I've never had any like bad things happen to me. Like no one just like talks to me, no one stalks me. You still have to be smart to be safe, but really it's been nothing dangerous or anything. It's been a really like safe, comfortable country to live in. I would say some of like the harder parts is like if you're not in Seoul, and you don't know Korean. Like if you go to the doctor, I've gone to the doctor and the doctor doesn't speak any English, and so I have like a really bad sensitivity to antibiotics, and because the air quality here, that's one of the downsides. The air quality here sometimes isn't the best in the spring. I get sinus infections. And so I had to go to the doctor to get some antibiotics, but I didn't want to get antibiotics. So my coworker said, "Oh, just go to the traditional medicine clinic down the street." And usually traditional medicine doctors, they don't need to know English because usually foreigners don't go to get traditional medicine. So I went there and like he checked my weight and he like checked my arms and like all this other stuff. And then he brought me to this back room and he's like, "You need like," I didn't know, but I got stabbed with a lot of needles and got acupuncture. And then he finally gave me like this drink to get rid of like the sinus infection. And that's what I originally had gone for because my coworker said, "Oh, this like herbal medicine gets rid of it right away. Just go in, they'll give you a prescription." But he said, "No, I have to give you acupuncture first." So like I had like needles like under my nail bed and like in my toes and like on my wrist and ankles, and I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll do it for the medicine." And that was a interesting experience. Sometimes if you don't know Korean, you're going to order intestines or like the little like what is it, like silkworm larva. There are some foods like that, but so you will probably make those mistakes. And it's funny, but it's also like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing?" Or sometimes like if you sit on the wrong seat or something, I've been yelled at a couple times by people. But overall, like I would say 90% of the people I've talked to in Korea and the people I've interacted with even have been very, very kind. And I've had no issues with like getting around and like getting a phone plan. Like you can always use Papago if you don't know a word. And even like, especially even if you're at like the grocery store or something, there's a lot of people just walking around who know English, and I've been helped a lot. Like they like kind of go in and like they tell the cashier what I need or stuff like that. So it's actually pretty nice to get around. It's just depending on where you are, it can be a little bit more difficult, especially if you're in the countryside. I'd say, but that all goes back to my biggest advice is to try learning Korean, and then expect it to be really different, especially if you're from America or like rural America like I was, just like expect it to be different. But mostly it's positives. And especially like if you work in a hagwon, a lot of the time they do offer housing. And the housing is really nice. Like it's so nice to not have to worry about paying rent every month. And most of my income then is like disposable income, and I can send it home. I can do fun things, like I go on hiking trips a lot. That's another thing, is there's so many mountains here. So if you like going outdoors, you like hiking, it's a really, really good country to do that. It's like there's so many sports that are really popular here, like skiing, hiking, soccer. I've been to a couple soccer games, and those are really fun to go to. Um, there's also a ton of really interesting cafes. Like I see a lot of pottery places. So if you're really artsy, there's pottery places, painting places. I went somewhere and I made like, I don't know if you know what a shrinky dinks are. It's like where you color on something and they put it in an oven and it gets smaller and you can make keychains. So what's nice about Korea, especially if you live near Seoul, or even if you live in somewhere like Daejeon or Busan or like around Gwangju, there's like still so many themed cafes. There's so many things to do. There's like VR. There's always PC cafes. Those are usually really nice. They have like full-on restaurants on the inside, and you pay like $3 for 2 hours or something. So that's pretty nice. I really enjoy that. So yeah, I have more than enough of salary. I make less than I did in America, but since I don't pay for housing and my utilities are like 30,000 won, which is about like 30 USD a month, which is insanely cheap. I pretty much have what, like $1,500, and then it's like a little bit more in Korean won. So I usually spend that on like I can buy expensive coffees, or like I have a cat now. I just adopted a cat, and so I have to pay for him now. But so I have a little bit less disposable income, but it's nice to save money. I'm going like it's so easy to save up for like big trips. I went to Vietnam for Christmas. I'm going to Taiwan for my summer break, and then I'm going to actually Rome for my winter break because it's cheaper to go to Rome than it is to go home. So it's really nice to be so close to so many interesting countries, and you obviously have the income to travel, and so it's been just a great experience. And once you kind of get into teaching and like getting used to it, and you know, especially second year, if you decide to stay at your school and you know the curriculum, it's just you get into a routine and you understand how to teach and you understand how to build a relationship with the students. You know how to target certain problems, certain learning difficulties, and help build their skills. Like then you really like can really enjoy the job, and then you can really enjoy your life here once you're established and you know people. I made quite a few Korean friends. I have a lot of foreign friends, and it's pretty easy. There's a lot of Facebook groups to find friends, and I found them on there. Also, even if you just like walk around at cafes and someone's like, "Oh, I love your outfit," and or I meet a lot of friends through friends. Like we celebrated Thanksgiving together, and some of my friends brought their friends, and now one of them is teaching at my school, and it's pretty nice. So there's a really good community. As long as you stay positive, things will end up okay. Like you'll have periods of stress when you first start, I think. But stay positive, work through it. Keep your friendships really like strong. Like make sure you keep in touch. And you'll get through the hard parts, and then it gets to be smooth sailing after you kind of like get over that initial like, oh my gosh, I'm in Korea. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to teach yet. Oh my gosh. Like, it's like that third month. It's like, oh my gosh, I actually live here. And that's when you start to kind of like get but then after that, it's pretty smooth sailing, at least for me. It depends on your school. I would say just be picky with what you choose. I prioritize, like, I don't get paid as much as some of the other schools I offered, but I really prioritized a positive work environment and support. And there were native teachers, like we call them native teachers, but foreign teachers in management. And I think that's also an important thing to have because the Korean work culture is very different from like American or European or like Australian, New Zealand work culture. So it's nice to have people there to support you. Um, Looking back, if I would have done anything differently, um, I would say maybe I would have not come during COVID because I'm so envious of all the teachers coming over this year and there's like no restrictions and they got to have orientation and I would have probably waited a little bit longer. But I'm also really, really glad I came and I want to be here. Maybe not like forever, but it's a really nice, comfortable place to live. And really love my school. I love the people I work with. Even if things are tough, everyone's really positive. And yeah. Um, Trying to think of what else to say. Also, be careful about apartments because some of them they're very different from what you're used to. Like you're gonna have a wet bathroom a lot of the time. In wet bathrooms, your shower is just the whole bathroom. And so there can be a mold issue here sometimes. And I had that problem when I moved into this apartment. My entire bathroom was so that was kind of fun. And I spent like 3 hours cleaning it with my gloves. You can get the big gloves and just like they have a but what's nice is because there's a lot of mold here, they have a lot of products to help with the mold. So yeah, I completely demolded the bathroom. And as long as you keep the bathroom door open, you should not have any mold. And buy a dehumidifier. But, oh, and one of the best experiences I've had since moving here is I've met like multiple YouTubers that I had followed before coming here. Like, I used to listen to Talk to Me in Korean, and they taught me how to talk in Korean and I got to meet them. I met another YouTuber who had moved here to teach English, and that was it was really interesting. Like the people I had watched to learn about Korea, I got to meet them here, and it's pretty cool. You just like find out it's just normal people, and you do a lot of really cool things and meet a lot of really great people. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to like message me on Facebook here. I guess I'm in the group, so yeah, I would recommend coming here, but make sure you do a lot of research beforehand. Prepare with the language, prepare with the food too, like know your food name so you don't order pig intestines. Um, yeah, so thank you so much for the opportunity to talk. I had a really great time just talking for a bit to everyone. Have a good night.